Hello, greetings. This is Gilles Mention. I come to you today as a force of habit to continue to discuss a few ideas. For today, I'm going to discuss about contemporary science. I'm going to approach it in a certain way and discuss some ideas. Now, I'm going to pull a few cards first to see what the Dakini, to see what may be the condition, what the mirror of life may reflect to us. Well, the situation is a threefold riddle. It means the situation cannot be solved psychologically. It is a psychological temptation that cannot be solved. It is a paradox. It is a puzzle that can never be solved. It's like no matter what. So it's about letting go of the mental process to allow this revelation to come through and to accept the revelation. This what comes from the heart. This heart intelligence knows already what's supposed to come and what is coming. What comes around this situation is the hot seat. It is the seat of the emperor. It is the seat of power, of responsibility. What we see before us in our conscious mind is the mother's milk. It is the two little parts that wants to return to the great one, to the duality that wants to return to unity. It is also a card of success. What we have in our subconscious, the distant past, is the fire of sacrifice. We have understood that in order to achieve certain things, we have to sacrifice certain other things, to let go of certain part in order to get some other part. Because it is like if we have many furniture in a house, if we want to bring new furniture in our house, we need to get rid of the old furniture before we can bring the new furniture. Or if our closet is full and we want to bring new clothes, we got to get rid of the old clothes before we bring in the new. And where we are now is the horseplay. It's about the enjoyment, it's about having fun, it's about playing, being playful. And what's coming up next is even more fun. It's the elixir fruit, the essence, the desire to test of the best things out of life. For we have to use certain discrimination, but it's all about following your joy, following your passion. As long as you do no harm to others, or even to yourself or others, then you should be free to experience anything. And that is really what we seek to discover, ever increasing forms of pleasure and enjoyment and joy. Our strength within the situation where we are in this situation is a deep end. There is a deep end. We have to touch the bottom of the pool. It is like we are loaded with heavy energies, and so we sink in the bottom of the pool as we let go of the baggages like a cork. We emerge right. We go back to the surface naturally, but sometimes we need to go all the way down to the end in order to re-emerge into something. So it is the end of the end. What comes to us from the outside world is a burning bush, is a lineage tree, is revelation. Revelation can come to us from our meditation, from our dreams, but also from as a mirror. They can come to us being mirrored by the I am presence within other people. So it's or by spirit. So it's about accepting the revelation and tuning into the higher life, what feels right. What we feel in our inner emotion, our hopes and fear, is the chameleon. The chameleon is blending into his environment, is always in concordance, always blending in. With the only weakness of the chameleon that is not very grounded, because he's always asked to blend into the environment, and eventually we're going to find more grounding and all the way to the point where we connect to our higher self, and then the world will have to chameleon us, to adapt to us, because this higher light, they're gonna want to access this higher light within themselves, and the outcomes are the waves of bliss. It is total joy, is the Holy Grail. It is the ability to find this love and to share it abundantly. So it's all good. It's just a matter not to think too much, not to overthink. There's time to think and time to act. Now we've sought it out. Now we need to act. For what we want is to be true to ourselves. If we, as in, there was this great play named Hamlet from Shakespeare. Hamlet just says to thine own self be true. If you, and then later on in the play, he explains. I think it was to Horatio. I'm not sure, but if you are true to yourself, you cannot be untrue to anybody else. And if you're true to yourself and you're true to others, you are true to God as well, to your higher self. And so. So it is important to look for that, to look for that soul, that true self that is you, that divine self. We all have that higher self, and we want to find that higher self. It's very close. And another concept in Hamlet is to be or not to be. That is the question. There is only one answer to that. I am that I am. be or not to be. I am that I am. You don't need to qualify it beyond that. That recognizes your divinity. I am love, I am light, I am that I am. And to love who you are, to love where you are, and to love all that you are, without rejecting those parts of ourselves that we feel are not necessarily the highest part of ourselves, because it is only by if we reject those parts, they will feel rejected, and they will become dominant within us in order to be addressed. So by accepting this lower aspect of ourselves, we are able to transmute it, to move into loving acceptance. I hope this message makes sense to you. But to love yourself, this shouldn't be intellectually should be acceptable to know that we want to love ourselves as we are, where we are, and all that we are, so that we can move into this loving acceptance of ourselves, and we can be more integrated within ourselves, and so we will flow more easily into the world, no matter what the others are. What process they're going through. I was looking at, I know some of my past life, Spirit has revealed some of my past life, and I was an artist in a past life, I was a painter, and sometimes I see some of my artwork that sells at auction, and they sell for such a monumental price. It's like say, well, if I could get 1% of the money that's been that my art is been paid for, just 1 or 2% of that, I could finance my whole studio. I could have a nice life just with that. But it doesn't work like that. We're not yet at the point where we are integrated within our past lives, and people know that they have past lives, and they recognize the past lives of others, and we have access to this Akash. So just something funny. Sometimes I see that because I know some of my past life, and I see how people talk about me of those other lives or whatever. It's kind of funny. The more you gotta be light about those things. I wanted to say that do not let anybody makes you feel guilty about who you are, what you want, or what your life should be, and they're trying to steal your joy. The only thing you have to be responsible is before yourself and before God. Yourself as an individual, before God as the whole collective. But God is never in judgment. There is only it's okay to keep secrets. For God will always keep your secrets. You're in a garden. You're in a world. As long as there is no prejudice to others. If there is great prejudice to others, life has a responsibility to balance out energies, and so for certain beings are escaping human justice. They're doing things that like nobody can see in the human, and they're escaping human justice, but they can never escape divine justice, which is never about repayment of debt or whatever. It's about the soul education. Each soul has the responsibility, and we'll see that the responsibility are handled. We need to balance out energies. And so do not harm to others, and so from there you find the freedom to be completely creative and letting go of other people's judgment. For people have heavy judgment. There was an author named Nietzsche who was like, I'm not really into it, most of his philosophy doesn't work for me, but there was one of his books is Beyond Good and Evil. For some people have some very strict, restrictive mental ideas of what good is, and they're trying to impose it on others, which actually it's only their own frustration and limitation. So do not let other people decide what is good. What makes you feel good in a natural way. What makes you feel good naturally is in alignment with your soul and in accordance with the divine plan. For the Spirit let me know, I was kind of happy. The Spirit let me know that I have nothing to hide, that my life is an open book. I've cleared up, accepted all the dark and all those things that were part of my past, and now it's like I have no more anything to hide. I assume the responsibility of my life, but whatever I do, it's only to God that I have to answer, as long as I do no harm to others, which is like if my intentions are good, trying not to hurt anybody, so it is important to realize your responsibility is to yourself and to God and to your Creator, your source, which is the collective of life. As far as we can understand, there is two perceptions: the individual and the collective. For we are saying that this world is an illusion, but it's not really an illusion. From the fifth dimension, the higher plane, this is just a temporal experience, therefore it is not real. But as we live here, it is this physical reality is quite real. And the sun is real, the body is real, the stars are real, the earth is real, other peoples are real. It's just the perception that we have of that is an illusion, because we do not recognize the eternal and infinite love that is the true nature of all things, and therefore that's why we call that an illusion. So I'm going to I'm just talking about certain things that may be very controversial, and so I'm it's just a point of view. Understanding that contemporary science, address certain ideas about contemporary science, but they may be just as absurd. When you look at what science was in the Middle Ages, it is completely absurd now to believe what they believed in the Middle Ages. But speaking about higher cosmology or cosmogony or the origin of the universe now, to contemporary scientists, it's just as if we're trying to explain quantum physics in somebody that in the 12th century they would just not get it. We would be burned to the stake just for bringing it up. Now we're more tolerant. But so what I want to talk about is that about 12,500 years ago, there was the fall of that civilization that was called Atlantis. Atlantis was very advanced physical. They were physical beings, but were very advanced, connected to the inner earth, to the galactic planes. There was people who lived thousands of years in any one incarnations, would have and we like have underground cities and very advanced transportation systems. And at some point, certain groups of Atlantis created because of power, created the fall of that civilization, and we had to return to forget everything, like this complete everything had to be forgotten in order to restart from scratch. We move from fourth dimension into third dimension. And so it took a long time, because at the beginning men thought that the earth was flat, whether it is ancient Egypt, it is Mesopotamia, it is Homer, Anaximenes, those great Thales, those great philosophers believed there was a disk that was surrounded by the river ocean. There was an ocean, and then the universe would go around that. The first scientist that talked about the round Earth was Pythagoras and Plato and Aristotle, and later Galilei, of course. And the first that discovered heliocentry, that the Earth would go around the sun, was Aristarchus de Samos, an ancient, but it was like in the antiquity, but it's like it was the only one that could figure that out. We had to wait for Copernicus and Kepler, and then Newton demonstrated. Most of the science we have now is based on Newton and Einstein's physics. Soon we're going to transcend that and move to the next level. Understanding even Bruno, there was a scientist named Bruno who realized that the sun was not the center of the universe, and he tried to demonstrate it, but he was burned to the stake for that. So what I mean by that is everything is relative to the time and consciousness. And I was looking into a show on Arte. It's a great channel that we have in France and Germany, and European channel. And where they talk about the origin of the universe, and it's very interesting. I still like to see, and I salute all the scientists that are working with this curiosity to expand the level of consciousness and science. But sometimes they make me laugh, because they make affirmation. They make those affirmations of things that are completely false. They have this strong belief, and they try to say this is the reality, like the universe, the Big Bang, and the universe is 13 billion years ago, when the universe is trillions of years old, and it's like we all come to realize that someday. But those affirmations, they made certain discovery nevertheless, and I was comment on that. And so they discovered there is matter, and there is invisible dark matter, what they call dark matter, and there is dark energies. In truth, everything is energy. There is nothing that is not energy, that is manifested on different level of complementarity, in order to different level of various level of interaction, in order to make this multi-dimensional universe. But we do not know the multi-dimensional nature of things. We're limited to this third dimension, this physical realm. And so everything that, even though there is a gravity presence of other dimension that can be recorded by some of our instruments, we cannot determine it, and so we call it dark energy. But they did realize that they made this one thing that I have to agree with, is that our whole universe, the manifestation of our universe, they have this one speculation that all energy of our universe can come from another universe. What they do not know is that everything comes from paradise and the central universe. And there is a central source. They said that the universe does not have a center. It's not true. The universe has a center, but it is invisible. It's what we call Avona, the central universe. And there's the paradise absolute center at the center. And everything gravitates around concentric circles around which goes clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on the level, around the paradise, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger the farther we go out of paradise, away from paradise. And what we do not know is the space breathing, that for 2 billion years there is an expansion of space, and then for 2 billion years there is a contraction of space. This because we've always been looking at the expansion, so we believe that everything will always go like this, and we believe in random, but there is no. And so they're trying to determine the essence of truth and reality, but but they're atheists, and they believe that because in essence, the nature of the scientific atheist beliefs is that because they believe for a very long time we were conditioned by the mythological stories that were revealed through the sacred text of the historical sacred text of religion, but in a sense those were symbolic reality that were given to man to enlighten him progressively. But now we discover that what we want is to bridge science and spirituality, to recognize there is no reality outside of God. There can never be any truth outside of God, and God is the first source and center. There is nothing, everything that was created, nothing would exist without it. And so we have to, but the mystery will always remain, no matter how much we learn about the universe or about ourselves. God being infinite, there will always be something new to discover. For our Creator is truly infinite, is more magnificent, and it is our true nature. It is our true nature. It is who we are. It is about, because there is no, in a sense, we do, man, woman, we do not know who we are and how magnificent our true nature. There is the totality of God within each and every one of us. How incredible! But God keeps everything locked into. God is patient for He educates man one step at a time. When we're ready to receive something, He will give us the information, and that is what we call metaphysics. What comes after physics, the self-revelation. It's like metaphysics. It's like the ability to gain knowledge without having to go through the process of linear mathematics. There are many things we do not know, because they were saying in this documentary that they've explored the whole solar system, but the solar system still holds mystery. That's really made me laugh. They haven't really explored the totality of the inner self. They don't even know the Earth, the inner Earth. They do not know all the invisible communities that live on the Earth, that is sharing our reality with us. So the solar system is far more. They believe that Pluto is not even a planet to them. So Pluto is an essential planet, and so is Chiron. And there are many other planets. There are also invisible planets that can create mystery, and they're looking for in this Kuiper band beyond the orbit of Pluto. There are hundreds of celestial bodies that exist there that are protecting the Earth. So, but there is so many great mysteries that will be happening. In truth, there is every celestial body possess a form of consciousness, and there are very few that well, some of them have civilization even, but we are the last planet that exists in physical, biological. Our star system was long ago. There was something that was very beautiful, it was of great balance. There's all kinds of things that we'll come to realize in time, but there was 4 biological, 4 atmospheric planets with oceans. There were 4 planets, and then the galactic war came about a few million years ago, because they're looking for this giant Earth. They said that in most solar system there is this giant Earth, and it's not here. So they're looking for outside, beyond Pluto. But in truth, this giant Earth planet existed. It was called Maldek, Pax, and it got destroyed. It was populated by giant beings, giant animals. and he got destroyed during the Galactic Wars. Then those invaded Maldek and went to invade Mars. They destroyed Mars, and they ended up on the Earth. They destroyed the atmosphere of Venus. The Earth, that was the only one that preserved our ocean, and so it's very rare to have four worlds with ocean, even though there is only the Earth left. But now after the ascension, all those worlds will be reassembled. So when we'll move into the Star Nation in a few hundred years, the Archangel will be authorized to reassemble Maldek. Right now there is biological transformation that will reassemble the ocean of Mars and the ocean of Venus. What we do not know also, most people, the public doesn't know, is that there is still a form of reptilian sentient life that exists on Mars, that have survived the wars and did not migrate after the loss of their ocean. But the deep state is already there, and some scientific, I'm sure, knows that. What they do not know, that they do not tell, is that Mercury used to be a moon of the Earth. The Earth had 2 moons, Venus had 1 moon, and the whole solar system will be reassembled. And what we're looking for, biological life, is we should be looking for it's more difficult for spirit to implement natural biological life when there is a single star. If there is double or triple star or multiple stars, it's much easier because they receive so much more life force to establish physical civilization. So in Sirius there are a lot of biological civilization. Alpha Centauri, well, now they all ascended, but there was a lot of biological civilization. The multiple star system are carrying a lot more planets that have biological life forms. For like I say, all those things may seem far out today, but in 200 years, everybody will know all that. It will be completely part of common sense, common knowledge. And so I don't know why I felt like I had to speak about this because I was looking at this documentary. And I hope you find this message interesting, to know that very soon, I'm going to publish my book, which explains how to travel in the universe without having to create machines. Because right now, the machines we have to travel into space are very unsafe. They're very dangerous. We are bombarded with radiation. As soon as we move out of the Earth's protective shield, we are bombarded with radiation. We can receive micrometeorites that destroy our technology. So it would be... The point for space travel is to learn to create artificial gravity platforms and to create energy electromagnetic field that shield that create shield around the ship before we can travel safely in the universe. But that will come, everything will come, and the galactics, there are countless advanced civilization of extraterrestrial galactics that are stationed, and they're invisible, they're cloaked, but they're stationed around the Earth, waiting for us to become peaceful, so they can assist us and help us, and we're going to make giant leap forward as we become, as the shift happens, and we. So I hope this message was interesting for you. Sometimes I feel I have to talk about those things, and so, but there are great mysteries the mysteries will keep on coming. There is always more to be known, to be revealed. The highest wisdom for us today is the paradigm shift. We're moving from linear to multidimensional. What we need to understand is achievement. Is to achieve that which we seek to achieve. What we need to do is destiny, to embrace our destiny, to fulfill our life plan. And the outcome will be the master guide. We're going to be able to connect with our master guide on a higher level of frequency, and to be the master guide is the guide of the spiritual path, is a celestial being, a divine being who's holding the frequency we need to attain in order to achieve this ascension. Well, I hope this message was interesting for you. This portrait is like a portrait of Vincent van Gogh. It will be signed, and then I'm going to still work a little bit on the eyes, but it's getting closer. Those are star paintings, those two are star paintings, the great central suns and those millions of stars. I'm going to finish with a song and pull one more card. This is a quick song, but it's a bit cosmic as well. It's an older song, it's an easy song. It goes like this. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Thank you very much. I wish you a wonderful day. I hope this week will be magnificent. A breakthrough. You can move through and do something different. Move into a next level to create this achievement, to enter our destiny path and to connect with our master guide to create this paradigm shift. And thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. The card of the day is karmic relation. We have to integrate our karmic relation, to utilize every connection. For we wanna turn those karmic connection into love connection. As love, unconditional love, discharge all karma. As we move into forgiveness and love, we are able to discharge the karma. So thank you, and I wish you a wonderful day. Namaste.